You're listening to Zen and the Art of Endurance, your podcast for getting great at going long.
Well, hey there, all you endurance studs and studettes. Welcome to another great episode of Zen and the Art of Endurance, the podcast where we go long and learn a lot about ourselves along the way. I have a very cool episode for you, very special one. I think it's going to be the first time we've done this, where I took an action camera with me for an hour and 15 minutes on a mixed surface gravel ride. I recorded mostly while I was on gravel, and I talked about a little bit of Zen, well, a little bit of Unbound news, and then a little bit of Zen. And because I had to condense it into an hour and 15 minutes because the battery was going to die, it's relatively good audio, compact, and it's not going to take any editing. And then also, if you want to see what I was talking about, you only have to go over to YouTube, to Zen and the Art of Endurance, and watch that YouTube channel. Hold on, I got to put stuff in the back of the truck. I'm starting to think a pickup truck with a tonneau cover on the back is the ultimate vehicle, because you have all the storage in the back that's safe. It keeps all the smelly and wet stuff away from your nice clean stuff inside. And with double cab pickup trucks nowadays being really common, you get all the storage on the inside for people and stuff, and it works out. Okay, wait, going down a tangent. Anyway, so on the video, I almost get hit by a train. I ride through a fertilizer plant, a gravel through their parking lot. I find where the seawall of Galveston, where they mined some of the, where they quarried some of the rocks, the giant rocks from 1900, and just on and on, really cool stuff. I saw some deer and a snake, and I'm filming with the 360 camera, so we get some pretty good footage of giant sunflowers, all kinds of cool stuff. Anyway, I'm starting to sweat. It's getting hot. And then on the Zen portion, I talk about, where's my drink? I left my drink back here. That would have been messy. There we go. On the Zen portion, I talk about the art of removing, which Zen is big on, taking away. You should think, should I take away before you add? And then I double down on that. I think the modern version of that is adding. While you're adding something, you've got the hood up, metaphorically speaking, and that's when you should evaluate. Because the modern version, as busy as we are, is happiness is doing two things at once. If you can find a way to do two things at once, like it's all one thing, then that is pretty awesome. Okay, I'll remember some more things from the video, but when we get into playing the video, you can hop over and watch it. And this is like my second attempt at doing video. Oh, and the other thing is I've got the Garmin data overlay. So for those of us with ADD that can't pay attention to anything for 5 seconds, and that there's these videos, what is it called? Subway Surfer is the concept or something. Anyway, where you, where they'll be chopping up things and smashing and squishing things on the side, and it keeps your attention just enough to pay attention to the just kind of plain video. And there's this magical kind of effect of this with the Garmin numbers showing my speed and my cadence and my heart rate and elevation. And you could tell it's a work in progress because it wasn't until after I was done and then complained on a support forum, there's two things. One was, how do I get the the smoothing effect because it's too bouncy. And after I'd already made the video, they were like, oh, you just go here. And it's modern stuff, made for toddlers where everything is touch and swipe. So there's no actual like clue whatsoever of where anything is. You just touch and swipe and push and stuff, and things open like you're like a 3-year-old trying to jam square pegs in a square hole instead of a round hole. But anyway, so for us Gen Xers, it's like, dude, give me freaking instructions and obvious clues of where stuff is. And anyway, so I found it later. They were like, oh, just swipe over here, and then swipe left over here, swipe down over there, and then, spin around 6 times and throw a cat over your shoulder and pour salt on the ground, and then dance over some chicken bones. And then that's where the setting is for your stabilization, smoothing, and also do the opposite of that twice. And that's where your, what was it? Not the Garmin overlay. I'll remember in a second. What was the other thing I was complaining about? That's where that setting is. Oh, how to turn it from metric into imperial. So the speed on it is kilometers per hour, which I was like, that's kind of funny. I could leave it at that. And it makes me seem like I'm going faster. but then the elevation is off. It's meters, so it seems like you're, almost 6 feet above sea level. But the numbers moving constantly around the screen is pretty cool. Okay, I'll remember some more about that in a second. Let's talk about the swim. When you go easy, you go easy, and when you go hard, you go hard, because if you go easy enough, then you can go really hard, and the really hard is actually what improves you. And I was thinking while I was swimming, by the way, I'm using the Asioma power meter pedals in the video. I don't think you ever see them. You might briefly. I go through my frame bag and show you what's in it. And I actually forgot that there's actually a mini pump in my frame bag with a strap up near the top tube. You can't see it. And I forgot it was in there. I know it's in there. I forgot to show it. Anyway, on my swim, currently my workout is, I do 850 yards at a pop with a 1.5 minute rest in between. And I swim really easy with a pull buoy for 750 yards. And really easy with the pull buoy is awesome because it's very low stress. You're just gliding through the water. It's teaching you really good form. Clean, glide, keeping your legs together, barely kicking. And when you realize that you're just as fast or faster, most people faster with the pull buoy because it keeps your legs up and your legs together, you start to realize how little you need to kick to go fast. And then for the last 100 yards, I do, in the middle of a turn, I do an open turn instead of a flip turn, and I dump off my pull buoy and then swim the last 100 yards hard. But because I've been going so easy, just gliding along with the pull buoy and working on easy technique, and I've got the heart rate, I got the Form swim goggles with the heart rate. We've made a lot of advancements lately in our tech. So we're catching back up where we left off with all the high-tech stuff for a few years while I was coaching Kai's mountain bike team and doing Boy Scout stuff. But if you think about it, 5 sets of 850 yards, right? But basically the last 100 hard, that's 500 yards of hard. So imagine doing a 500 hard, 3 times a week, and like really hard, because you're just doing 100 yards at a time. So that way you can go really, really hard. That's really awesome for you. That's really good. And because you've led up to it with really clean, nice form, you've encouraged this. Like you should feel when you swim, I was thinking about this, because I was talking with Mary Timony. She spreads her feet, keeps her knees together, but spreads her feet on her right pull. And that's drag, to spread your feet apart like that. So actually the balls of your big toe, the insides of your big toe should tap each other, and your knees should tap each other constantly while you're swimming. They should not spread. And that happens with the pool boy. And a pool boy encourages you to have confidence to swim in the right position, because you're not going to sink. And then eventually you learn to swim like that all the time. And that 100 yards hard at the end is booking. Okay, let me think if there's anything else before we get into the video. I talk a little bit about unbound stuff, about cargo pockets. They found on wind tunnel testing that cargo pockets on the side are actually causing a lot of drag. The newer bike kits are coming out with cargo pockets on the back of the leg. I talk about that. There's a few things with like the skewers on your bike. For aerodynamics, you should point them backwards. If you're in close combat in cycling, the reason that cyclists point them up towards the frame, angled towards the frame, is to keep other people from catching them. And then on the video, I alternate a lot between arrow position and sitting upright. And there's a few times, so it's cool, you can see the difference. And also I'm going really slow because the heat is really bad. But I think for the ride average, like 200 watts. It was 100 degrees when I finished, 100 something on the pavement. So yeah, I really want y'all to go enjoy both, and we'll see how this works out. It'd be really nice to record the main contents of the show while out on a bike ride, and you can convert video into audio pretty easily. We'll try it. I'm told. I don't think I've done it. And then make that the meat of the show, and then do a little intro audio and exit audio for the podcast, and see how it goes. And yeah, that's it. I'll be back in a minute to wrap up the show with any extra little news about what races we got coming up and fun stuff like that. Maybe I'll remember to talk about, I ordered the brand new version of the Shox headphones that are completely waterproof because my other set died, and also have the capability to load MP3s in it. I'm not sure if I want to do that, because I actually enjoy swimming with it's the one time for sure there's no audio and I can just think. But we'll see. All right. Enjoy the audio from my bike ride Saturday morning in the Texas heat. It is brutal out there. And if you want to go see it, go over to YouTube and check it out. Oh, quick interjection here. I went and watched the video once it finally got processed on YouTube, and something happened to the image stabilization, and it's not stabilized somehow. Either adding the Garmin data overlay unstabilized it or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Because there's another video that I posted for proof that I know what I'm doing. Or I might know what I'm doing. The video that I shot of me finishing the Gravel Locos 150 is stabilized. It's perfectly stabilized. It's wonderful. And it's the exact same setup as far as where the camera is and how and all that. So that worked. I'm not sure what messed it up this time, but it took 2 days of editing and processing to get that video posted, the long one that I'm telling you about today. And it's just too much to go back and try to fix it and start all over again. So we'll just leave it as is, as a testament to you're perfect as you are, but you could always be better. And as far as watching a video without image stabilization, the video really doesn't change all that much. It's just biking. It's the audio and the commentary. And also the human mind gets used to things. And what bothers you at first, actually, you kind of get used to it. And then in your brain kind of stabilizes the image itself in a weird way. It's kind of cool. And after a while, it didn't really bother me at all because I didn't take it so seriously, because I was just enjoying the scenery, and at times it does smooth out and all that. So it's not that bad. And there's plenty of cool things happening, like with the train and all that it makes it worth the watch. And if you don't want to watch it, you can just listen to it. I forgot to mention, I do go through my gear bag, my frame bag, all the stuff that I carry on a typical bike ride that I can carry because of the frame bag. And also in the rear, under the saddle, is two CO2s and a spare tube and a tire levers. And also in the bento box in the front is tire plugs. All right, just wanted to mention all that. Now let's go watch the video.
Hi everybody, my name's Brett. I'm a triathlete.
I decided it's time I got some friends more suited to my status.
But Joe, we've been friends for years.
Hey, we all make mistakes. Come on, dudes, let's go exercise! Exercise! Yeah! I'm gonna do sit-ups till I poop myself!
All right, welcome to a tour of Old Highway 6. We got about an hour and 15 minutes of battery time on this bad boy. Let me take a sip of fuel. We'll talk about what I'm using for fuel, how I'm hydrating on a 4-hour ride here in Texas with one water stop towards the end, actually, and how much water I'm carrying, and the history behind this road, and a little bit about Unbound, more information that keeps coming out about the race to talk about. It's really cool. And then also, this road is abandoned from this direction to, oh good, I just dropped my sunglasses and scratched them. And it's abandoned from this direction to the Navasota River, about a mile and a half. And then, these are cheap sunglasses, gas station sunglasses. And then, specifically because you dropped them, I dropped them, the less money you spend, the longer they last, apparently. And then if we go this way, it's going to turn from this busted up concrete and asphalt that you see to gravel real quickly right there. And then we're going to go down, behind me is the Navasota River, down that way. And then we're going to go to the Brazos River, which is that way on this video, and then on up to the ridge line that's the railroad line. And let's go ahead and get started, man. Let's do this. Started off way too big of a gear here. Got too much going on. We're going to talk about the Zen art of removing without adding, or before adding. Feel like busted up concrete right here. I think this road's about 100 years old, maybe more. The big slabs of concrete. And we're down in the river bottom. This flooded really bad recently. And hopefully we get some Garmin metrics on this, and maybe even power. I've heard they've added power. It's going to be really, really hot. So we're going to go slow, and we're riding with the wind, mostly. So we're going to go slow-ish and ride upright. So I'm wearing the camera chest mounted. Up until now, well, except for the race, the gravel locust race, I've had it underneath these bars on a Garmin mount. But then when I talked, you couldn't hear me very well. I figured with the wind up on the chest, you'd probably hear me pretty nice. And it's gonna be a pretty casual ride. I've averaged 220 watts up until now, which is nice and typical for me. And my legs hurt. Like, why? I was like, oh yeah. 2 nights ago, I did intervals with Kai for 2 hours. Well, he did intervals for 2 hours. I tried to keep up. And it's already 86 degrees. It's only 9:30 in the morning, 9:20. And that's why we're gonna go slow. And then I'll be able to breathe and talk better too. And no rush. We will get in aero bars on a nice downhill and some flat area into a headwind. But aside from that, this is pretty cool. So. Let's see, my fuel, I've got 2 bottles. This is the second bottle. I'm about to start hitting this one. Of, I'd say about 350 calories per hour. It's mostly table sugar, a little bit of Gatorade, yellow Gatorade powder, so lemon lime maybe, which you can buy in bulk. Table sugar is obviously super cheap. I'm so used to riding the aero bars. I guess we could ride aero bars a little bit. What I don't want to do is let this hose touch the camera lens. And if we get sweat on the lens pretty early on, that's sorry about that. Doing the best we can here. So the temperature is going to hit 100, 105, 106 on the pavement. A little bit later. So the goal of this ride is just survival. So 350 calories per hour. Oh, I put sodium citrate in all my fluids, which you can order online. And that's better than salt. It doesn't make you sick. It's about 500 milligrams of sodium. Sodium citrate's like half sodium. But about 500 milligrams of sodium per water bottle, maybe 600 to 700, kind of depends. And I'm wearing a Camelback that has 2 liters of fluid in it. And then along with the 2 bottles of fluid and fuel on my frame, the down tube and the seat tube, you can see I got between the aero bars bottle so if you're ever coming up Highway 6 from Houston to College Station, after you pass Navasota, if you look on the map, this road is on the left. And it's not 2154 Welborn Road. It's old Highway 6. It was gravel the entire way. They just paved the... Actually, it's the part they paved is not. I guess it is still almost gravel the entire way. That's how you know you're on. Hear the cicadas. And my heart rate's running a little bit high. I had too much caffeine this morning. I had an extra cup of coffee, and that's had me jittery all morning. I don't like it. Let's just ride upright. And I've got a saddle sore on my left butt cheek. I'm having to work around. But it's like, I'm gonna go out and ride anyway. I need to practice being tough. Yeah. It's funny, if you only have one saddle sore, you can kind of figure out a way around it. We'll do a mix of Unbound and Zen put together. And you know, I don't know how this is going to turn out. Let's say, because I wanted, what motivated me to come out and ride, because I was kind of on the fence, I was a little bit tired, was, oh yeah, I could try putting the Garmin metrics on this. I'm pretty confident it'll work if I export it from the phone, but I'm not confident it'll work if I export it to the desktop. And if we're doing an hour plus long video, we're going to export it from the desktop. So we'll see. But it should show slope. And if they're doing the power, I got power meter pedals. Oh, I'm all at it. I got a frame bag, and on the left side, along with some sunscreen, I got a water bladder. Got a car behind and a car up at the same time. Look at that. Like a traffic jam. Oh yeah. So I guess I'm doing how many water bottles of fluid, how much weight. Smile and wave, boys. Cool about gravel roads and narrow roads, country roads, paved or not, is there's way more tree cover. In the summer, hot days, I call gravel riding in Texas shade hunting. Shade hunter. It's easy to forget to drink and eat fuel when you're talking. I need to remember to do that. I think we'll do some more of that when we get to the top of this hill. So, did Lachlan Morton kill the spirit of gravel? Some people are trying to say the spirit of gravel is dead. And I say the spirit of gravel is dead. Long live the spirit of gravel. Because the new king, Lachlan Morton, is the spirit of gravel. And also, so I don't forget, I'll say it now, or in case I forget. The 350, nearly everybody had aero bars. Remember, they banned aero bars because of pros being too competitive. There's just one little section of pavement right here. You can see the end of it down there. Sorry, taking a drink. The way you don't get cavities, eating all the sugar, is you keep your sugar fuel separate from your hydration. And then every time you take a sip of fuel, we got a segment up here we're not going to take. You follow it like you should, because your fuel should be concentrated if you're going to go this long. You follow it with some water, and boom, that rinses it off your teeth. And then that pumps up the fuel to be isotonic in your stomach. And it works. But Lachlan Morton is getting criticism because he wore an aero helmet and then one of these, but it's a road aero helmet. It's not a real time trial aero helmet. But it's close. People won't wear an aero helmet because it's too hot. This is an aero helmet that apparently does not get very hot. Well, obviously, because he won on a hot day. It didn't get too hot, or else he wouldn't have won. And then, oh, by the way, we took a left on White Switch. We're gonna do this out and back all the way to the Brazos River. And then on the way back, take a left back on the old Highway 6 again and finish out some gravel there. A little bit of a headwind, so the arrow's nice here. Arrow position. But anyway, but people, like, dude, do you know who Lachlan is, man? He literally drank beer the night before, told his coach, you know, like, how many intervals do you want me to do? And I'll do them, but I'll do them my way, mixed in with where I want to ride. Rode wherever he wanted to for a month. Instead of basing his rides around his workouts, he just found out what the intervals were supposed to be in his workouts and then mixed those into just riding around. It's pretty brilliant. And that kept his workouts fun. He's the same guy that did all the stages of the Tour de France on his own and beat the Tour de France. Started at the same time and passed him. And at some point, his feet hurt, so he wore Birkenstocks. His cadence is too low. We're gonna have a headwind for about the next 20 minutes, but it's gonna get fun. We're gonna have a downhill that turns into gravel at high speed-ish for a gravel bike. It'll be cool. And then gravel all the way to the river. And over some railroad tracks too. Nice. So he wore Birkenstocks for but they did broke the Continental Divide record and didn't take the fastest known time because he didn't care. He just wanted to video it. And that breaks the rule. Like, I don't care. And then he quit World Tour racing because he said road racing sucks. So yeah. He basically, the spirit of gravel is to ride your own way. There's very few rules in gravel. And saying that somebody is doing it wrong is actually the opposite of the spirit of gravel. There's no rule keeping, like gatekeeping. It's so self-supported. aid stations on the 200, but you got to do it your own way. And like I said somewhere, him deciding to wear an arrow helmet is like you deciding to eat a Snickers bar at some point. I wouldn't. That's your choice, you know? But anyway, he had, so he won, doing things his own way. I got the Varia radar behind me. A car coming up. There's a little subdivision off to the left here. Look at this view. Those trees on the far ridgeline over there. Kai and I rode those last weekend. That ridgeline. It's called Bluff Road. It's pretty cool. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Boom. Oh, he's crazy. He's crazy. He's riding in aero bars on gravel downhill. Look at the giant Swede. Look at him. If I didn't know this road, I probably wouldn't have done that. I know this road pretty well. Got a strong headwind, so we're gonna ride arrow in it. On the way back, we're gonna ride upright. Saw some bunny rabbits. Saw not a peacock, but a peahen. So it looks like a peacock, but it's just brown without the big fancy feather. One down. So I'm riding a Vast A1. And I need more rear tire clearance, but this is as big as they get. It's 42. The front will fit a 50. So I'm riding a 47, 48, whatever, Pathfinder Pro. Up front. Which is also becoming a thing where people are realizing fatter tires are faster. They're more flat resistant, and that's faster. Anything's faster than 0 miles per hour. So you provide a little bit of suspension, which makes you faster. So you shouldn't take for granted what your bike says is the clearance. That's for the rear. A lot of bikes haven't. They get a fork from an aftermarket fork supplier, and the fork, who knows, you know? Or you could go replace your fork. So I think Lachlan even rode a bigger front than rear. Of course, you would ride the same front and rear if you could, but if you can't, it's okay. Oh, but what about the rules? You need to ride the same. Exactly what I'm talking about. The real way to ride gravel is on 28s on box rims on a 1973 Schwinn Varsity. It's the only way. Some guys finished it on Walmart beach cruisers, single speed. Don't try that unless you're crazy. They're really good. They knew what they were doing. first thing they did is fix up the bikes. Bikes needed wheels screwed. They were like terrible. And then some of them had too much grease, some of them had no grease in the bearings. This is cool right here. I hit a hole earlier so hard. I actually thought I broke my frame for a second. I was like, oh, that's a frame cracker. But so far, I'll have to turn my frame upside down and look at it. This is nice. Learned this from Iron Man. Maximize your time in the shade. Get out of the sun as fast as you can. This flooded out down here the other day. So there's rubble, rough gravel all over the road. Oh, so water-wise, yeah, what am I carrying? 1, 2 in the frame bag, 3, 4 on the down tube and feet tube, 4 bottles, and then 2 liters, which is like 3 more bottles. So 3 plus 4, 7. It's pretty nice. Because I ride this route a lot, I know it'll probably get me to the water. There's a post office with a water spigot behind it that only the real bike riders know about. You go by, you never know. But you know, everything's choices when you ride. You have to make a choice. Isn't that a Rush song? That's a little bit too old for me. But a good example of that. Well, you choose, you know, you have to buy a helmet. So get one that's faster. It's more miles per hour. So you get to see more stuff. Saw a snake earlier, jackrabbit the other night. That was cool. Lots of deer already this morning. And then that's less time for your family wait for you at the finish line. How about that? Maybe that might change your mind. I'm gonna wear boxy, box cut, loose flapping clothes and ride upright. Okay. You could finish 2 hours earlier and go have dinner with your family. But all right. Anyway, we're about to hit some railroad tracks over here. This will be cool. On the way back, we'll be sitting upright. Yeah, see how this moves. Aero testing showed that cargo pockets. These cycling shorts have little cargo pockets on the side. Around 10 watts slower when you put stuff in those cargo pockets. Probably the fact they exist is probably a lot for the stitching. And then 10 watts easily. Here we go. There's a car coming to the left. Ah! And you have a choice. You can put the trash on the sides. As soon as I saw those things come out, I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate. A whole bunch of people are gonna buy those, they're gonna be slower. Well, I get to carry more food, that makes me faster. Yeah, but the drag, dude, it's sticking out on the side. If you got trash or gels, you want them behind your leg or in front of your leg, mostly behind, or behind your upper arm. So some people had speed suits in this race that had pockets. All the sunflowers are starting. Emily's gonna freak out. Let's take a picture. Emily, oh my God, it has begun. The first sunflowers. Here they are. People come out here and take pictures. It's a secret location. I'm gonna keep it to myself. Some bird out there. But here we go. It's gonna get awesome here over the next few weeks. All right, out. Let's send it. I'll do an Instagram later, but I'll send it to the family. Come on, go. There you go. All right. That's a big one. They get way bigger than that though. And let's swap out bottles here. Put this empty one towards the back. The 2 hours per bottle, so 4 hours total, works really well because it's easy to know how much you've drank and how much you need to drink. And clear bottles are way better because you can see how much fuel you drank, and then coloring it with a little bit of Gatorade gives it a little bit of flavor instead of just table sugar and sodium, which is fine. It just gets blah. And then it adds color, and then you can see how much you drink. I'm riding the Pathfinder Pro on the front. It worked pretty good. And the fattest 42 that fits my bike, that's fast, and I don't need a lot of knobs, obviously, you can tell where I ride. I do ride some rough stuff on occasion, but I underbike that. I'm okay. But it's a sawtooth, which is like a bike touring inverted tread. Oh dear, deer. Woo-hoo. Oh dear. That's cool. I think this is sorghum around us. I don't think it's corn. But it might be. It might change to corn, but it looks like sorghum. The Brazos River is right up ahead. I'll let out a secret. This is called River Road, and this thing turns to mud when it rains. And at the end of this road is private property. I've talked to the owner. It used to be a campground. I camped here when I was in college, and it's right on the Brazos River near Hidalgo Falls. There's a sandstone formation that makes a kind of hidden ridge line that runs east to west, kind of, or maybe runs northeast, southwest. And this is, see all the different locks right here? But they've done it so one key can unlock all these locks. So these different clubs have access to the river right here. It's just a few hundred feet that way behind me now. And now I can ride upright with the wind. Find a spot that doesn't bother my saddle so. And so like the Texas A&M maybe, Whitewater Club, Texas Rivers rafting clubs and stuff. It's the only rapids in the area. The sandstone, the river going over the sandstone. It's actually really dangerous. Because the Brazos River is really, when it gets going, it kills a lot of people every year in that area. Here we go. Now I'm moving. Gravel biking goes by so fast. It's such a great way to get in your triathlon or ultra distance, Ironman, whatever. Huge cycling event volume in, because it's so mentally stimulating. It's just so, like, it's cool. Before gravel biking, I was kind of burned out on doing 4 or 5 hour rides on the road. Same roads over and over again. Even when you ride the same gravel roads, they change. All the time. And then plus you see different things like wildlife in different places. And meet really cool people. So, maybe it was Rafa. It was one of the other speed suit brands, but I heard it was one of the speed suit brands. They put pockets behind the upper arm on the sleeves. I don't know if they did it on the legs. I think they did. No, they should have. Oh, this is gonna get hot. Climbing that hill on the way back. We got a really cool gravel road though. Cool thing about aero bars too is you got these extra pads. We got tailwind, you can sit really upright. You get like 3 body positions. It's almost like riding no hand. And behind the arms and behind the thighs is actually faster than not having them there at all. It fills in the space behind your body, those cylindrical body parts. Yeah, the heat's so bad, I'm really having to hold back on the effort. It's 94 degrees on my bike computer on white gravel. That's hot. That's hot. And then yeah, we're gonna be going slow. So if you want to be fast, don't use pockets on the side of your cycling shorts. What I did during Gravel Loco was I put my trash and stuff on the tops of my quads, on the front of my shorts. That way I put unused in the front and used in the back. Been doing that for years. Oh, this is nice. And that keeps you more aero. Unused is solid and more smooth, so it's better in the front. But you watch, they're gonna start making cycling shorts, if they haven't already, with the pockets behind the leg. All right, that's enough of that. Let's talk about adding and removing. Let's talk about some Zen. So, in Zen, a lot of it is the art of knowing that we tend to add extra. It's basically Zen. A lot of Zen is just not being extra because it's fabricated. You don't need it. And by not being extra, part of what keeps you from being here and now is being extra. Right? You worry about what other people think, blah, blah, blah. And so, the whole Zen, it's nice in here. Zen minimalism movement is to take away. Sometimes the solution is to take away. In fact, that's usually the problem, is there's too much. So why can't I get everything done? Well, you're trying to do too much. What can you take away? Right? I'm gonna really double down on the water. It was hot. And even a little sick to my stomach because of the heat. I'm gonna back off the fueling too. That's what we learned during Gravel Locos. I got sick first at mile 80, 90. I started getting sick around mile 120. And it was you fueling the same amount as you always do. And then it's a race, sometimes you fuel even more. I was telling somebody, he's like, oh, it's a race. You're adding. It's a perfect topic. We're gonna go up that hill. It's gonna be awesome. Actually, it's gonna suck, but let's say it's gonna be awesome. I gotta ride in the arrow position on the way there because I'm gonna be out of the bars and riding upright up that whole hill to balance it out. Like so. So, it's also like front derailleurs, you know, and single front chain rings. Not having to make that big decision of like switching from small chain ring to big chain ring is it's a removal. And the simplicity makes people happy. It's one less thing to worry about. One less battery if you're using electronic, one less mechanical thing to worry about, right? Simplicity is speed sometimes. I got a little tailwind, that's why I'm doing a decent speed here. With not trying very hard. My watch are probably crazy low. And then I've been tasked lately to write a strategy plan for something at work. I've been encouraged to write it my own way with my own voice. We got a cool boss. He likes that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, you asked for it. It's Zen in the business world. In Texas, especially, it's considered foo-foo. Yeah, it's too spiritual, whatever. So I'm not going to mention that it's Zen at all. But in there, I'm going to say one of the strategies that we do, because I've been running this system for a long time. Here we go. Say goodbye to my camera lens. That's not too bad. Okay. The left side of the road. The wind, dust is going from left to right. Slight downhill right here. But just saying, whenever we add something, and the type of system I run, any kind of technology system suffers from bloat. Oh, I got a hill. I'm gonna turn this off so I can actually see my number. There you go. Just a little bit of fuel and a whole lot of water. Shade hunting. Little tiny gear. This used to be all gravel. It's gonna turn to asphalt here in a second. Ooh, I got something in my chain. Heart rate's 136. Just doing 220 watt. That's rough, dude. From the heat. There we go. Smooth asphalt. Yeah, so this used to be gravel just until recently. All the way up to the top of this thing. Good workout, but man, on hot days, if you're on hour 3 or 4, it's a little nuts. Shade hunter, right here. Cicadas. Do I have another gear? Yeah. Butterfly. But anyway, while you're adding something is a really good time in the strategy plan. While you have the hood up to add something, it's a good to always ask yourself, what can I remove? It's kind of like if you're walking out to your car with one thing, or vice versa. You're like, is there anything else I can take with me on my way? You know? Happiness is 2 things at once. I like to say. Okay. Oh, this breeze. You can see I'm wearing these old DeSoto brand arm coolers and how they're real meshy. They are awesome. Supposedly more aero too. But they've gotten so old, you start getting little holes in them. which ain't the worst thing. But these are the best arm coolers I've come across. If you get ones that are solid material lycra, even though they're thin, they're not as cool as these. Obviously, you could basically see through these. And then my jersey's the same thing. It's one of my favorite jerseys because pink is not a natural color in nature. Oh, a snake, right there. Black racer. And also drunk guys driving. Like, dude, a chick. And then you get mad. God dang it. Fool. So, pink is awesome. Awesome color for riding in. Very effective for being noticed. And anyway, we're zen in the art of removing. It's the combination of folding it in with something else, right? If you go out of your way to remove things, that's not zen. Now you're trying too hard. It's just while you are adding things, ask if there's anything that can be removed. In the case of our technical system stuff, you're like, oh, we're gonna add this. Oh, we're butting up against the max capacity of the system. Hey, wait, this thing is from 2017. This other thing. Maybe we can remove that. Like, yeah, and this is from 2021. This we don't even know when it's from. Let's get a new data set. It'll probably run faster anyway. And then that folds into continuous improvement, which is called Kaizen. Continuous small improvements instead of waiting for stuff to break, which is human nature. They have a catastrophe. They don't move out of the floodplain until their house is flooded like 3 months. Kaizen would be like, man, our neighbor's house got flooded. Time to move. You know, now, instead of being in denial. That's the problem with that. Okay, we're headed kind of south-southeast right here. A little bit of headwind. We're going to turn left and left down an awesome stretch of gravel road. So that's going in my business plan. We'll see if they let me keep it. So I have my own version of this in my personal life, in my endurance stuff. I've added all this crap, and this morning I officially hit all this gear. Power meter pedals. Okay, need those. It's 2 things at once, right? They'll work on the mountain bike and this bike, so it's okay. It evens that way. It's my Zen thing. And then, but you have to charge them. But at least there's a phone app. There we go. Look at this. This is so cool right here. We're back on Old Highway 6. Big hanging vines over here. Somebody's ruining it by adding little miniature houses. We'll see if that takes off or not. There's a hole. Go around the hole. We'll do a little lap through it so y'all can see it. See, I could ride way over to the right. Let's say this shade was on the left, so I could ride way over to the left because I got the rear radar. I know there's a car coming up behind me. And I can switch sides. And so I got the radar. That's worth it. Power pedals, worth it. Camera. It doesn't come with the remote, so I bought the cheap remote. Turns out they haven't updated the firmware on it yet to work with this latest model of camera. So I'm really frustrated. With that. Oh, this reminds me, this is soft. I'm right. It's kind of soft sandy. It's mushy. To decide on your width of tires, get the widest, the narrowest tire that doesn't sink you at sand. There's a tire for your weight that's wide enough that when you ride in sand, you'll float more than you'll sink. That's the width of tire. And I learned this from riding with Kai. We had the same width tires and I was sinking because I weigh more than he does. And he's a little frustrated because he's like, come on. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying, man. Anyway, so just recently, oh, if I was trying to do this segment, I would have finished by now. Let's see how much faster I actually do this thing. It's way down here. I think Kai has the calm on this one. I'm not sure. He took it from me. I make segments, he goes out and takes them from me. Anyway. Let's drink a little bit of water. Oh, a little bit of fuel. A lot of water. So old Highway 6 goes straight. The end of the segment's up there, buzzard it, as it crosses the railroad tracks. We're gonna let this car go. S-car go. So the dust goes down. Take a minute, cool down for a second. This is Ward Lane. Oh, I just got sweat on my lens. Oh, we're almost done. I just hit the lens with my glove. It's not like I got too much crap going on. These are different gloves. It's hard to tell in the dark. And I've got 3 or 4 left gloves and could not find the right glove. So the past week I've been riding no gloves. And then finally found the right glove. And when I found it, I'm like, oh cool, I'll match it up to one of my left gloves. Turns out it doesn't match any of my left gloves. So anyway, the camera, trying to get the remote to work, the remote will work if I use my phone, but that means I have to pull my phone out. They make a little a thing that you can attach to your bars and just tap it and it'll wake up the camera, and then I think they're gone down far enough. This is a tree tunnel road. I love these. And nice vines hanging up here. It's a dead end. Actually, it's a ranch road that goes all the way down to where we were earlier. But somebody's got it gated off. In Texas, that's really common. Texas started off as a ranch state. People fenced it all in, private ranching. And that's why we got to deal with it. Nowhere near as much public land. I mean, like 1% of the public land in some other places. So you think it would be different because it's Texas, but it's freedom. There's a pine tree right there, big old pine tree. We're in the post oak prairie, so pine trees are pretty rare. If you see a pine tree, that means there's sandy soil right there. Pine trees love sandy soil. Anyway, I was trying to get my camera going, and it's hard at first when stuff's new. All the settings, the remote won't work. I'm on forums trying to figure out why. Get no help. The customer support answers the questions they want to answer and not the difficult ones that make them look bad. I think we all do that. And then I guess because today's Saturday morning, we got more cars. Usually on Sunday morning. It says dumbass drive right there. It's pretty funny. There's the Conan the Barbarian wheel, the working wheel on which he was forged. If you don't go too hard, you can actually train tomorrow. And it's volume. There's a deer. I just saw it running there. And then and that's how you get great, is by not going too hard and then being able to do more. The whole work with the tide instead of against it kind of thing. There's a road further down where it goes, "You are at our gate." It's like an automated recording. It's really funny. Let's go check it out. Let's see if the video will last that long. Theoretically, it should. Let's see. Except it's so hot, it might drain the battery faster. This video could end at any time. So it's been nice talking with y'all. In case the video just ends. I just ran out of water in my Camelback. That was it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna dump the water out of this other thing. I can do it while riding, but not with all this equipment. Plus it's nice to stop in the shade. I can actually just drink straight from it. It's pretty easy. That's the cool thing about frame bags, is they're between your knees. Really easy access to stuff. Oh, let's talk about what's in the frame bag. I've got, on the right side, melted gummy worms. They used to be individual, but in the heat, they've congealed. I bit a chunk off earlier. I started off, legs felt weak. I'm like, why? It's because I've been done all that riding a couple days ago. And then okay, we're about to get on the typical 2-lane Texas highway. That's 70 miles an hour, maybe 75, no shoulder. Oh, here comes a train. F. Dude. We just barely missed it. I could still make it, but I'm not going. No, I could not. Let's go down here where we can hear. A little bit of shade right here. So, in my frame bag, on the right side, I've got the gummy worm and some chain lube. And I might have a paint stick. I've got my asthma inhaler in here. Oh, I got my multi-tool right here. The right side is thinner, and the left side is bigger. I probably have some zip ties and stuff in there. Nothing that weighs very much. And then on the left side, I've got sunscreen, which I'm going to put on in a little bit. I waited until like 11 to have on sunscreen. I've got a water bladder, which we'll go ahead and do. And then I got a second one that doesn't have water in it yet. Here's my paint stick. And some zip ties. It doesn't have water in it yet, but it is salted. So when I add water, it will become electrolyted. Pretty smart. If I say so like that. On the valve opens it up, but I won't spill any. Oh, stay on the tracks, buddy. See, it's not quite a water bottle, a tall water bottle, but it's close. Oh, there's mosquitoes over here because there's no wind. Put that in there. Right on time. Look at that. See, everything works out. That's your Zen, do the right thing at the right time. Don't do the wrong thing at the wrong time. White ram! That's what I got. Whee! Look left and right. You don't know when the second train's coming. Jeep to my left. Oh, this is a dangerous road. Gotta be careful. But only ride it for a minute. And with the gravel bike, unlike a road bike, I can get over to right of that white line. On a road bike, you're kind of like, eh. Or if there's grass, you're like, that's a little sketchy. Get a flat tire because of the debris. But a gravel bike, you're kind of like, eh, whatever. the video suddenly goes black, it's not because I got hit by, well, it might be, but if the video made it online. See here, there's no shoulder at all, there's nothing. And then the white, you can't tell, is rumple strippy. I'm gonna get in the arrow position to cover this ground a little bit faster, even though I got a tailwind. I see some more wind tunnel stuff. They were asking, you know, do the skewers, which way do you point your skewers? So you point them backwards towards your rear, not towards your frame. People that don't know why you point towards your frame, historically, it's if you're riding close combat with other cyclists, you're less likely to hook them if they're up against your fork or up against your rear triangle. But if you want maximum speed, you actually get ones without levers, where you use a multi-tool or a little tool. This is fun right here. To be more safe and get off this road, we hop over to this fertilizer plant. Artificial plant. And then cannot do this on a tri-bike. Okay. Then now we're off that road. This reminds me of being a kid, like riding through BMX bikes through parking lots. Okay, then, and it's something like 5-10 watts. But then you lose. That's a real case of like, you know, should I do that? Oh, I forgot I'm out there. And then because now what if you lose your multi-tool and you can't get a wheel off? You're by yourself. I think if you're totally by yourself bike packing, you use wheels with the levers. And here's a double track. Check out this place right here. It's such a trip. Shade Hunter. Still recording. Sometimes there's a dog up here that likes to chase. It's fun. Well, it wasn't fun the first time. He was huge. I was like, ah. But he seemed a little bit bigger and slower. Slower because he was bigger. That's all right. Just when you think you know what dogs are on a road, they change, you know. Somebody gets a new dog. The dog's gone. That was a big factor that was deterring getting Kai and other little kids riding out in the countryside. Is people, parts of the country where people have dogs chased loose. The county, this county, because there is a decent sized town in it, eventually created a ban not too long ago. But still, up ahead is a quarry. Can't see it, I'll point to it, where they mined some of the rocks that went on the seawall, the Galveston seawall, after the Great Storm of 1900. It's either that hole or further down that road. And I know the guy, met the guy that owns the land, and he said there's big rocks randomly. I think it's that sandstone formation that we were talking about earlier. All right, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed it. I think we really are onto something here. The show blew up with popularity when I started talking about Zen and the industry news and stuff and tips and tricks while I was on bike rides. And with this, I can do two things at the same time. I can make a video, which keeps us up to date with all the modern social media and whatever stuff, and help us get sponsors for the show because they love visual. Now, YouTube is the second biggest search engine, I think, next to Google, and Google owns both. So anyway, and on that note, Elon Musk just announced that he's going to ban Apple devices for his Tesla staff. Oh my God. Because they're allowing ChatGPT in Apple. And without reading more than just the headline, I was like, what is his actual beef? And I'm like, because he's so petty and he just fires people for no reason and stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, remember Tesla came out, or Elon Musk or whatever, X, Twitter crap, came up with their own Grok, remember? Their own ChatGPT AI thing. And nobody really likes it unless you're crazy. And he's probably pissed that Apple didn't choose Grok on theirs. So now he's banning Apple devices. We'll see how far that takes him. He's really trying to alienate his customer base more than anything. Does he not get it that like Apple iPhone users are like the biggest buyers of Tesla cars, because Apple devices just work and they're simple, and you're trying to sell cars without even like an instrument panel sometimes, and just work, and you don't even think about how to use them. Anyway, Musk rant over. I'm actually more of a Windows person and a Google person, but when I started making podcasts and I was on my second broken laptop because of bugginess and stuff, and then I use Windows and stuff from work. I built computers and all that. And I really like the customization that you can do with Windows and PCs and stuff. And I really hate how Apple stuff is so locked down. You can't modify anything. But there's a point to it. When I am making a podcast and I'm on the road, I just need it to work. I need the processing to just work. And I need the computer not to crash. And I need it to not be buggy, because I actually have a day job and this side project of mine needs to happen smoothly with no problems. I invested in a MacBook a long time ago, and I've had, probably could count on one hand how many times it's crashed in 10 years, how long I've been doing it on MacBooks and stuff. And the reason why, for the people that don't know, is PCs are open platform. Stuff on Windows is open platform, Android, all that stuff is open platform. So what they do is they make it so that a computer manufacturer, phone manufacturer, whatever, tablet, can build a device themselves however they want it. And then they load that operating system like Windows or Android or whatever on it. And then they sell that as an entire device. Well, the problem is when you source all your pieces, so your RAM, your motherboard, your video card, your keyboards, everything from different vendors, different, let's say subcontractors all over the place, then, each piece of computer hardware and software that run those all have different computer instructions. And it's impossible for a computer manufacturer to test all the different combinations that could be out there. And so you get one incompatibility, then it crashes. But with Apple stuff, if you notice, Apple builds the entire device, and they only build the devices with stuff that they've tested. You pay a little bit more, but when you buy a MacBook, let's say, or an iPhone, that thing has been tested. The operating system has been tested with those specific guts and the drivers and the software and the hardware. And they've been able to test it to make sure that it doesn't crash and everything's compatible with each other, because it's all coming from Apple or their subcontractor, but only for one thing, And then so there aren't any variants made out there in the wild. It's all coming from Apple. And that's why Apple stuff doesn't crash. So if you like computers and you like options and fiddling with stuff, and you got the time to fiddle with it and optimize the crap out of stuff, then you should get Windows or Android or whatever you want. But if you just want something to work and don't mind having fewer settings and less control over it and less tweakability, and it just needs to function, then you should go with an iPad, Apple phone, iPhone, MacBook Pro, the things that Apple makes. Oops, sorry, got a phone call. Good, because it stopped me from my rant. But speaking of devices and such, I have ordered and should have soon, we'll see how long it takes, the Open Pro headphones that are waterproof. They just came out with 100% waterproof ones that you can actually swim with. Oh, I think I mentioned that before the show. And I'm very excited about that because I'm always having to be careful with mine that I don't get them too wet. And then when I sweat and stuff, and here in Texas in the summer, it's so humid in the eastern half of Texas, and it's unbelievable like how much, I'm very proud of them, how far they make to survive a year. It's crazy. And then I think we talked about, and it's going to be great to be able to not have to worry about headphones when I jump in and out of the shower and such. And the thing I've noticed is I get the ones that are subtle colored, either black or dark gray, not like blue or red or whatever, because they're not as off-putting to people because they don't notice them as much. And I like to wear them like all the time. Anyway, the next thing is Kai wants to do Gravel Nationals, and I tried arguing with him because we have a friend of the show that lives in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Gravel Worlds, put on by Garmin, is in Lincoln, Nebraska, but it is not the hardcore, psycho-competitive one that one of Kai's idols, Keegan Swinson, does. If you do Gravel Nationals, it's UCI, and that is in western Nebraska, which is so much further away, and nobody to stay with out there. And just like, dude, you sure you don't want to do Gravel Worlds in Lincoln, Nebraska? Because we'll save money on gas. We have a friend to stay with that's a friend of the show that I've never met. It'd be so cool to meet somebody from the show that's offered so many times for us to come stay with us. He'd be excited too. And he's like, nope, I want to go do the Gravel Nationals. If you win Gravel Nationals, this one, then you get the red, white, and blue American jersey, that you're the national champ. And it is more competitive. But Gravel Worlds is the one that's put on by Garmin and Lauf are the title sponsors. And I think that's where Chase Wark won it last year, got second or won it the year before. But anyway, I think that's where he picked up his Lauf sponsorship. And oh my gosh, man, like I'm fine with either, So anyway, we're going to sit down and do a spreadsheet. I'm making him sit down and do a spreadsheet of how much it's going to cost and to do both. And then that way, I don't want him to change. I want him to do the race that he wants to do. That way he's stoked, and stuff for training. But, the thing is with, I always evaluate a race that you have to go a long ways for and pay a lot of money for I compare that with if I don't do that and I do something local and cheaper or on my own, how much money would I save and what could I buy for my bike? And I need a better set of wheels so bad. And I'm like, dude, I always say like, dude, that's a set of wheels right there. We could have gravel race wheels on both bikes if we do the one that's closer, for example. And I think as we get older, we get an appreciation more so for money and time and distance, and with better world geography kind of understanding distances and the load of stress that it actually puts on the body and the risk that's added by traveling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of extra miles and the cost. I think when you're younger, you're just like, oh, I'll just do it. And then as we get older, we get smarter about that kind of stuff and make better decisions. But also you got to do races that you have passion for, I've done dumb races all over the place. I went to New York twice, Spain and Canada, Whistler. I'm trying to think where else I've gone for races way out of the way. Been surfing in New Jersey for some reason, even though I was living in California. So whatever. But that's the next big race that's officially going on the calendar. I'm also thinking we ought to put our names in the lottery for Unbound and see if either one of us gets the spot. And what if Kai gets a spot to Unbound or I get a spot to Unbound? And then whoever doesn't get the spot, if only one of us gets it, then do you get a spot if you volunteer? at the race, and then one of us could but I'll need to be there to volunteer to help Kai. I don't know if I can volunteer wherever I want. Probably not. And then once you do it, I don't think once you do it once, you're in it again and again and again. Although some people just keep getting in it year after year after year. I don't know how, because the lottery's pretty tough, I think. But anyway, I'm just rambling on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show. I think we got something kind of cool here where I'm killing two birds with one stone, getting good content out on the bike, and I'll work on that image stabilization stuff. And another thing that'll help is instead of shooting it all one continuous shot, I'm going to break it up into pieces as I shoot it. And then as I'm working on the pieces, it'll be easier to figure out what's going on with that stabilization. And then I can't be like too far in to undo it and fix it like I was this time. Oh, and I want to read a comment on our way out. I got a really nice note from a listener who's new to the show. And let me see if I can find it. It was so nice. And we came up with a new tagline for the show. Where is it? I'll leave his name out of it. But he said, "Hey, dude, not sure if you read these, but I've just begun listening to the podcast and I absolutely love it. Endurance athletics help me overcome addiction issues, and I find myself listening to some older episodes because they're so entertaining. Wishing yourself and your whole family the best in the future." 3 exclamation points. And I said, "Messages like this mean everything to me, knowing it's not a waste of time." By the way, you should, any show or whatever that you like, you should message them because it'll help them stay on track. And I said, I used to smoke and drink way too much. This is back in college. And endurance sports are one of the best cures. And for depression too. Whenever I get depressed, I've learned I go on a bike ride. I forget what I was depressed about. Anyway, thanks for the message. Where do you live? And then he told me. And he said he's doing the Ironman in Ottawa in August, the end of August. And I said, sweet. Remember to train for the course. If it's hilly, do lots of hills. If it's flat, and then I thought about it. I said, do lots of hills, because hills always help with everything. And I go, I need that as my tagline. And he said, that'd be a catchy one. So that's the way we're going to leave this episode. Everybody stay safe out there. Remember to train for the course. If it's hilly, do lots of hills. If it's flat, do lots of hills. All right, out.